players would be good to do.
Yeah. Alex, take your glasses off. Okay, stop there. Just stay where you are. Just pop your glasses up. So these two were rolling the ball, kicking, rolling, that type. These two were sat facing each other, legs apart, rolling. A lot of girls do this. Especially if they're sort of 8 and under, they tend to go down to this position quite a lot with rolling, especially if they're classified as B1, which is blind. Okay, they prefer to go down, get the feel, and then they come up. And then you two would challenge each other straight away. Okay, anything that you had to work with your partner because you kind of worked out what they needed. Did you?
We like to converse and said what you feel comfortable with, so I can really see no peripheral vision, but aim for this left hand side.
Yeah.
So he took everything like that. Obviously, then meant that himself he over the shoulder, which was his chest as a blockage.
Yeah. Okay, so you're allowing it to hit your body and then come off if you made a mistake. Anyone else? Did you notice what you were doing? Yeah. Yeah. So what Jill did, I don't know if she realised, but she went straight away with the head back quite a bit. So she pulled her head there, she could see more vision. So again, when I work with kids, especially, well, adults especially, but I do notice it in kids, how they hold their head and how they position their body is giving me some clues as to what vision they can use. Because if they are always this way, then I know that this eye is better than this eye. And I tend to try and work, I challenge a lot. So all the stuff that we've been doing, I try and make things audible, but then challenge them with it. And I try and work on the non-good eye as well as the better eye, because for me, they need to work on both. For me, the vital things with anything to do with VI sport is movement and tracking a ball. So tracking balloons, tracking the flying fish is ideal. Tracking these bigger goal balls because they make bigger sounds, the bigger balls, getting them movement in different ways. And then for tennis, we'll bring these out. These are the sound balls that we use for tennis. So basically, it's that golf ball with ball bearings inside a sponge ball, and this is the ball they use for blind tennis or visually impaired. So all you're going to do now is we're just going to make it a little bit more realistic and go over the net. So in your pairs, you're going to be one of you on one side of the net, one on the other, and you're just going to be basically throwing the ball over the net to each other. If you are like Mustan, okay, so he's blind in one eye, he's allowed the ball to bounce once, okay? If you're someone like Alex, who's got the tunnel vision, he might be allowed to let the ball bounce twice, it might be 3 times, okay? Because again, depending on their classification, depends on how many times the ball's allowed to bounce, okay? So you're going to swap the goal ball for one of these balls, go over the net, and just decide whether you'd like to have 2 bounces, 1 bounce, or even 3 bounces, okay? And then we'll get some rackets out, and then we'll get some wheelchairs out. Cool? If you want to change your glasses, you can. Okay, stop there. One of the things that we do in tennis is a lot of players can't actually see the person on the other side. And they definitely can't see the ball, they'll use the audible. So as you're about to throw, you ask your partner, are they ready? They say yes, and then you say play as you throw the ball. Okay? So every time, ready, yes, play, just in the throwing, and then when you get hitting, you only say it when you start the point. Okay, but for now, just to get you used to it, ready, yes, play.
Down. It's approximately slow down. It's just like table tennis.
Oh, right, yeah.
No, there's no
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah. And then, good, good. Okay, stop there. Okay, people stop. People with the ball, you're going to be the thrower and the catcher. If you want to hit a catching net, you can. People on Jill's side, you're going to have a racket. And all you're going to do, you're allowed 1, 2, 3 bounces, is you're going to try and hit the ball back to your partner for them to catch it. Okay? Good luck. I did, well, with those probably 2. Give yourself 2, but see how you get on.
Okay, ready? Ready? Play.
Good.
Ready?
Okay, still there. So another thing to just bear in mind, if I was working this in a live situation, I've got 2 players here that haven't got any peripheral vision. But the 2 players side by side, so the likelihood of them walking into each other is really quite high. So again, part of my thinking process is always about what eye condition and where they are. So if it's adults, they can kind of stop. Kids will just run and bash into each other. So what I may do is when you both get rackets is actually extend you over the 2 nets. So then we've got a lot more space. That's probably the biggest thing I do with VI. Okay, so swap rolls and then we'll get both rackets going. So just need to pass the equipment over the net. Okay, stop there. Just as I say, it's going quite quickly. If we've got a player that might be struggling, then what I may do is bring in the tap and swing. Slightly different ball just because I haven't got any Velcro on me, but I'd normally just pop a little bit of Velcro on here, so then it just tacks onto it. But this time, let's put this on. The ball's positioned for where Dan needs it, so he doesn't need to move. Dan will come to the side and he's going to hit and try and hit this off. Okay, so if you want to pass it back, thank you. So if I have that, Dan comes to the side and he just swings low to high, trees to knees, whoa, and off he hits. And again, depending on, because we all know that when we've got groups of children, different abilities, different learning styles, different things, and again, the children love this because they can work in pairs. One person puts the ball on, the other person is hitting, or they're working in threes and there's a catcher and they come around and pot it and they all change direction. And because the ball is where you want it, they get in the right shape. Okay, so this is another tool. What you're going to do now, we're going to move Dan and Alex, you're going to go on the next court, but you're going to grab a racket, Dan, and you're just going to keep the ball going now. So instead of catching it, just try and get yourselves a little rally, keeping the ball nicely under control. Thank you. Oops, swap you. Cheers. See the ball? Good. Oh!
Ready? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh. Well, funny enough you said that. I was working with an adult actually, and their head was always on one side. And so I said to her, I said, do you realise that your head's to one side? And no one had ever told her that her head was here. But because for years she'd been doing this, she'd got all the muscles, and that was trying to get. Yeah. Yeah, I've got the shot.
So what I do is, again, I'm very much about trying to make sure there's a lot of independence. So as long as I know that things have been is safe, I'll let them follow the sound of the ball, because for me they're tracking the ball. So as long as the ball's moving, even the children that are blind, they can follow the tracking of the ball. As long as I know there isn't an obstacle in the way, I'll keep half an eye on them, and then I'll see if they've got the ball, and then they come back. Other ways of getting them back is I'll say, come to the clap. So they've gone right over there, and I'll go, right, Billy, follow the clap, and then they'll come running towards the clap. Occasionally, as they're running that way, a child's running that way, and that's where you've got to make sure that you shout, stop, everyone stops on my command. So that's kind of on the safety. Other things that I tend to do is on the net post, if there's a net winder, I'll put a tennis ball on it, and then that becomes nice and safe. One of the things that we were just chatting about, which again, when we're coaching children, we don't actually think about what happens when they get to adults. But when we're working with children, one thing Jill was saying is that she's realising that her neck's starting to ache because she's putting her head back so that she can see. And again, as coaches, we've got to make sure that they're long-term, in our sport, but secondly in life itself, we've got to be really thinking about that they're not going to get injured, and we're not going to sustain injuries as they get older. So with VI tennis, especially B1, so the blind tennis, we're getting 6-foot guys playing the sport, which is on a small court with 3 bounces, and they're doing this, and they're getting really bad backs. And if they've been nice and low as a child, and how to track the ball and move down, then as they get older, they're not doing any of this and having the bad backs and all the issues. So again, what I'm trying to do with coaches is say, if you're working with children, just make sure they're nice and low, they're bending and they're getting low, because when they get to adults, we want to have good technique, and then they're not going to get any issues. Just looking at time and time's flying. Do you want to have a go in the chairs? Yeah? So if you want to bring your VI, so if you put